Okay, let's get started today for our yoga flow class. On our backs, let's do Supta Baddha Konasana. So lie down onto your back, soles of the feet together, knees wide, and you can always use blocks underneath the knees if you have them. It is a nice way to start, especially if it's your very first hip opening. It can be more relaxing this way. If you feel like you don't need them, don't feel like you have to use them, or if you don't have blocks, you can definitely do it without blocks. Another way to make this more gentle is to move the feet farther away from you. So if you don't have blocks and you feel like it's too intense, crawl the feet away from you, and that'll take away some of the hip opening to get it to right where you need it. Close the eyes. Bring the hands on the body. So let's bring the left hand on the heart, right hand on the belly. You could also do two hands in one place. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Back out through the mouth. Two more like that one. Deep breath in. Exhale out the mouth, release. Inhale in through the nose. Back out through the mouth. This time in through the nose. Back out through the nose. Keep going with this breath. Ujjayi breath. At the beginning of our practice, we can feel how powerful it is to change our breath. Knowing that we don't just have access to it on our mat, we can use it whenever we need it. Great tool to slow down the mind when it starts racing. And a great tool to focus and concentrate. So if you do need to focus and concentrate on something, maybe not yoga related, this is something you can do if you're feeling scattered. Reach the arms overhead, find a stretch, keep the legs in the same shape. Let's clasp opposite elbows. Eyes can be softly open or closed. That's up to you, but let the arms rest on the mat, just getting into a gentle shoulder opening. Switch the clasp of the elbows, bring the other forearm on top. Stretch the arms overhead, straightening them again. Circle the arms down so the hands come to the outer thighs. Help the knees back together. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Extend the right leg up. Grab onto the back of the right thigh. You can point the toes down toward the face. A bend in that right knee is up to you. See where you get the best opening. Left foot can stay where it is. If you want something deeper, slide the left leg forward, keeping it straight, but also firm. So imagine you're standing on that left leg. The inner thigh is working and those left toes are pointing up. So you're pushing away with both feet, essentially. Maybe you start to walk the hands up the leg, but go gently. Don't go as deep as you can possibly go. It's only if you're not feeling anything hanging onto the back of the thigh. Plenty of time to get the legs open, as you know. Right knee comes in toward the chest. Set the right foot on the mat. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Then straighten the left leg. Grab onto the back of the left thigh. See what's happening in this leg. Heel goes up. Maybe there's a bend in the left knee. Maybe you extend the right leg, keeping it firm. So top of the right thigh is working down toward the mat. Bringing some effort there. You're good here, stay here. Maybe you need to walk the hands up a little bit. Still keeping it gentle, don't go all the way in. Left knee comes in toward the chest. Bring the right knee too, so you have both knees coming in toward the chest. And then extend both legs up toward the sky. Interlace the fingers back behind the head. Rest the head in the hands. So get the chest wide. Elbows are still resting on the mat. Legs are squeezing together. So squeeze those inner thighs. You'll feel the core hug in a little bit when you squeeze the inner thighs together. Look up, take an inhale. On the exhale, lift the upper body up and away from the mat. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Make sure you're not using the neck. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhaling up. Building a little bit of heat in the core. Inhale back. Exhale up. This time, inhale back. Exhale up, reach the arms up. Try to keep the hands in line with the shoulders. Lift the chest up as high as you can. Core goes in. Try not to bring the legs closer to the arms. So keep the feet right over the hips. The body wants to bring the arms and legs closer because it's easier. So keep reaching up. Maybe the hips lift up a tiny bit without bringing the legs closer to the arms. Then you can set them back down. Reach the arms forward, palms facing up. Chest is still lifted. Squeeze the legs together. Lower the feet down toward the mat so they're hovering, coming into Ardha Navasana. Interlace the fingers back behind the head. Keep the shoulder blades lifted. You're just going back halfway. Exhale up. Feet can always come down to the mat if it's too hard. Inhale back. Exhale up. 2 more. Inhale back. Exhale up. Last one. Inhale back. Exhale up. Reach the arms forward, palms facing up. Come to Navasana, boat pose, squeezing the inner thighs, lifting the chest. You're trying to find that flat spot just above the glutes where you can balance. You can maybe go forward and back a tiny bit. You might roll, no big deal. Just come back to it. Legs can be bent or they can be straight. But notice the difference. Sometimes it goes too much into the hip flexors when we straighten the legs. If that happens, you just come back to bent knees and set the feet down to the mat. Good work. Okay, so come to a cross-legged seat. Doesn't matter which shin's in front. Just shift side to side so you feel like you're even on the sit bones. Hands come to the knees. On the inhale, lift the chest up. Gaze can go up too. And on the exhale, round the spine. So it's seated cat-cow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Keep going at your own pace. You don't need to stay with me. Stay with your own breath. Eyes can be open or closed. Let's do one more cycle. Inhale and exhale. Back to center. Open up the legs. You're coming into a wide-legged straddle. And then turn to face the left toes. Walk the hands forward, folding over the left leg, still taking it easy. Those right toes are pointing up. Sometimes they want to come down toward the floor. You're still pressing out through both feet, getting into the side body. Let the head and the neck go. Then come back up to center, switching sides. So turning to face the chest toward the right toes, start to walk the hands forward, gently folding over the right leg, keeping those left toes up, left knee up. Head and neck release. Then come back up to center. facing forward, you'll just do the same thing, going straight forward. So knees and toes stay up, walk the hands forward. If you have blocks, you can put them underneath the hands, the forearms, let the head and the neck go. This time, both knees, both toes are all pointing up. Don't let them roll down. Upavishta Konasana, wide-legged straddle. It's a nice hip opening. We open up the legs a little bit at the beginning, so you might have a little bit more space for this. Walk the hands in, coming back up to seated. Grab onto the backs of the thighs. Bring the feet back to the mat. Come forward to hands and knees. And once you come to hands and knees, stack the shoulders over the wrists, spread the fingers, not as wide as you can go, but maybe like 80% of the way. And then look and see if any of the knuckles are popping up. Typically, it's your texting thumb that really starts to pop up. So press that down. And it's also the webbing between the index finger and the thumb. So pressing down there. Oh, and then one other thing to look at. Sometimes the pinkies go way out. I'm one of those people if I'm not looking. So just make sure that there's an even space there between pinky and ring finger, as well as all the other fingers. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. So you might want to pedal out the feet, lifting one heel, descending the other. And let's just check the measurement of our stance. This is always a good thing to do every once in a while. So inhale, glide forward to plank pose, stack the shoulders right over the wrists. Once you can see that that's happening, make sure the heels are right over the balls of the feet. So that's the natural length of your plank pose. Hands and feet don't move. Lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog, and then observe, do you want to adjust the feet or the hands? That means your down dog is either too short or too long, typically too short, which would mean you'd want to walk the feet in. Lift the hips up as high as you can. You can still have a bend in the knees, especially if that gives you length in the spine. Then inhale, glide forward to plank pose. Exhale back, downward facing dog. One more like that. Inhale, glide forward to plank pose. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Little different this time. Inhale, glide forward to plank pose. On the exhale, lower all the way down to the mat, slowly going through chaturanga. Tops of the feet come to the mat. Reach the arms back behind you. Squeeze the hands together. Lift and spread the chest just a little bit, not as high as you can, to your first real back bend. Then exhale, lower down just a little bit. We're coming right back up. Inhale up, maybe the chest lifts higher, arms still squeezing together. Exhale, lower a little bit. Inhale, lift back up. Tail points back toward the heels. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, come up to hands and knees, child's pose. Big toes together, forehead comes down, arms out in front of you. Crawl the fingertips forward, bring the hips back as far as the knees will allow. If you're not feeling anything in the knees, hips go all the way back toward the heels. If the knees need more space, lift the hips up. Child's pose is here whenever you need it. Take it whenever you want it. This is the beauty of practicing at home. You can do whatever you want. And it's a great way to get into your own practice and stay on your own mat. Lift the head, looking forward, shift forward to hands and knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bend the knees, looking forward to the top of the mat. Step, walk, bring the feet up to the hands. I always walk the first round on the way up. It's a nice gentle way to get the feet forward and you get a little bit of a stretch. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Two more like that. Slide the hands up the sides of the legs on the inhale. Reach the heart forward. Exhale, fold. Last one, inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time, circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, fingertips outside the feet. Step the left foot back behind you. Come into a runner's lunge. Chest is reaching forward. Back knee is lifted if you're okay with it. Set the back knee down to the mat. Reach the arms forward and up. Once you get the arms overhead, hook the thumbs, spread the fingers. And it's like you're trying to pull the arms apart. So you feel that firmness in the arms. You also feel a widening across the shoulder blades when you do this. Elbows naturally hug in. And maybe you start to feel some heat in the arms. Release the hands back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, big step forward, left foot comes up to meet the right. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, right foot steps back, runner's lunge. So you want that left knee right over the left ankle, chest is reaching forward. Set the back knee down, reach the arms forward all the way up, hook the thumbs the other way. You'll know when you have it right because it won't feel right. Pull the arms apart, shoulder blades widen, and then the tops of the shoulders are away from the ears. So make sure they're not hiking up. And then you just keep trying to pull the arms apart till you feel that heat build, maybe on the outer edges of the arms. Elbows are straight. Hands come back down to the mat, back toes tucked if you haven't already. Lift the back knee, step the right foot up to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway. On the exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms all the way back up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, chaturanga, all the way down to the mat, tops of the feet down, hands walk back, cobra, bhujangasana. Exhale, release, downward facing dog, either plank or come up to hands and knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Down dog. Either transition's okay. One's a lot harder than the other though. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, maybe lightly hop if that's something you like to do and feels good in your body. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, bend the knees, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend, maybe up dog this time. That's up to you. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Up dog, bigger back bend than cobra. So stick with cobra if you're dealing with anything or if it feels like the right amount of challenge. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Again, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway, chaturanga, cobra or up dog. Legs are strong no matter where you are. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Last cycle of Surya A. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Few breaths in your downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. You can open up the hip and bend the knee if that feels good. Just try to keep the shoulders even. So when we open up the hip, that right shoulder wants to go up too. Level it off with the left, and then see if you can open up the knee more. Left heel comes down toward the mat and the left hip pulls back. Step the right foot all the way up between the hands. Coming into your runner's lunge. Spin the left heel down flat, heel to arch or heel to heel. Warrior two. Take your time. Good. So reaching back with that left arm. Let's all just take a peek at that left hand. Make sure it's in line with the shoulder, and then you can bring the gaze forward over that right arm. Press down with the hands. See if you can lunge deeper in that front leg. That's it. Then flip the front palm up, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm reaches up and over, extended side angle. Chest is opening up toward the sky. You're hugging that outer right hip in a little bit, and you're driving through the mat with that left leg. Let's not forget about it. Then look down at the mat, bring the hands down to the mat, come onto the ball, the back foot, widen the stance a little bit. So right foot goes out to the right, left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm reaches up. So you're twisting to the right, opening the chest to the right, back leg is lifted, although you could bring that back knee down if you want to. Right hand comes back down to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. You can hold downward facing dog. You could take a vinyasa. Those are optional. Take them when you want them. Skip them when you don't need them. Left leg reaches up and back. Open up the hip, bend the knee, stay level in the shoulders. Right heel goes down toward the mat, right hip pulls back. So you're still in downward facing dog everywhere except for the left hip. Step that left foot all the way through, up between the hands. Spin the right heel down flat, setting up for warrior two. Right arm brings you up, Virabhadrasana 2. Right hip is pushing that left hip forward. Take a peek at the right hand, get it in line with the shoulder, then bring the gaze back forward toward the left hand. So that right side chest is opening because you're reaching back as much as you can with the right arm. Feel this length in the sides of the torso because the hips are going down, chest is lifting up. Try to keep it. Flip the front palm up, reverse warrior. Keep the lunge in the front knee as you reach up and back. Backhand is light. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm up and over. Parsvakonasana, extended side angle. Both legs are working evenly. Chest is opening up, belly hugs in. Look down at the mat, hands to the mat, coming onto the ball, the back foot, heel toe the left foot to the left so the feet are hip width distance, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up for a twist. Getting as long as you can out through the crown of the head and that right heel. Left hand to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Be happy here or take a vinyasa. From downward facing dog, look forward at the hands, bend the knees, bring the feet up as quietly as you can up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. On your next inhale, chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Come all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Choose to take a vinyasa or skip it. We're coming into Surya Bs. So plenty of opportunities for vinyasas if you want them. Make your own choice. So right foot steps up between the hands, spin that left heel down flat for warrior one. So hop that left foot in, reach the arms forward, all the way up, warrior one. Square the hips, lift the chest. We're holding this one a little bit longer because it's our first warrior one. Send that right knee straight forward, get the back leg straight. Then on your next exhale, hands come down to the mat. Any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Hop the back foot in till you can seal the heel. Reach the arms forward and up, Virabhadrasana 1. Square the hips, square the chest. Maybe the gaze lifts, maybe the chest lifts. It's a back bend. Next, exhale, bring the hands down to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. Three breaths in your downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, inhale, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Surya B, 1 breath per movement. Feel free to skip the vinyasas. We're doing 2 rounds of Surya B. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, back to plank pose, down dog or vinyasa. Right foot steps up right away. Warrior 1 on your inhale. On the exhale, hands come back down to the mat. You step back to plank pose, lower down halfway if you're taking the vinyasa. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, down dog. Left foot up, warrior 1. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat, step back, downward facing dog, vinyasa, up to you. 3 breaths in downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose on your inhale. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. 1 more cycle, Surya B. Bend the knees, sit back, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Hands to the mat, step back, down dog, vinyasa. Right foot up, left heel down, warrior one. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog with or without the vinyasa. Left foot up, warrior one. And exhale, make your way back, downward facing dog. Three breaths in downward facing dog. Take child's pose. Bring the knees down to the mat, big toes together. Forehead comes down, arms can stay out in front of you or hands back behind you. See which one feels better at this point in your practice. So taking a more traditional class today, what's typically what I used to teach for the first several years of teaching yoga. And then I realized I've just been doing this ladder flow for quite a while and gotten hooked on it, but I wanted to kind of take it back, see how it feels today. So stay in child's pose if you'd like. Otherwise, reach the arms out in front of you. Lift the gaze, come forward to downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, lift the right leg up and back, open up the hip, bend the knee, level off the shoulders. Left heel comes down toward the mat, just like we did before. Right foot steps up between the hands. Spin that left heel down flat. Back to warrior two. Take your time. And we're staying in this warrior two. So take some time to do the fine tuning. You know what you need to do. This is where your inner teacher comes out. You know where all the places are that you have to adjust. And then once you find it, bring the gaze forward over that right hand. Are you using both legs evenly? Are you still lifting the chest and lowering the shoulders? And are you still with your Ujjayi breath? Flip the front palm up, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Legs stay the same. Open up the right side body. Try to find some length in the left side body. Exhale, forward, extended side angle. Right forearm, right thigh, left arm reaches up and over. If you feel like the hips open enough, you could bring the hand down outside the foot. That's up to you. Try to get some weight in the back leg, open up across the chest. Hands to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot, widen the stance a little bit. Left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm reaches up for that twist. Maybe this time you turn the right palm to face behind you, wrap the right arm behind the back. So you're coming into a half bind. Chest is still opening to the right, so you're still in the twist, both shoulders away from the ears. Right arm reaches all the way back up. Bring the right hand down to the mat. Bring the left knee down to the mat. Half splits. Shift the hips back. Lift those toes on the right foot. Push the heel forward. Reach the chest forward. Hands can go more forward if you need more. They can go back if you need less. Blocks are great too. Spread the toes on the right foot. Come back onto the sole of the right foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog. You're welcome to take a vinyasa. You could stay in downward facing dog too. Left leg reaches up and back, Open up the hip, bend the knee, try to keep the shoulders level, right heel down, pull that right hip back, and then lift the left knee up higher. Step that left foot all the way through, up between the hands. Right heel spins down flat. Warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Listen to the sound of your breath. Feel the pose. It's such a powerful shape. Flip that front palm up, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Forearm to thigh, right arm up and over. If you feel like there's enough space, hand can come outside the foot, maybe on a block. And that rotation of the right hand, the thumbs up and the pinkies down. So the palm of that right hand is facing behind you. And that's the rotation you want in that right shoulder. Look down at the mat, hands to the mat, widen the feet a little bit so they're hip width. Right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up for that twist. Turn the left hand to face behind you, wrap the left arm behind the back, find the shoulder opening here. Try not to lose the lunge in the front knee. Left arm reaches all the way back up. Bring the left hand back down to the mat. Right knee comes down to the mat. Shift the hips back, walk the hands back, left toes, lift up, push the heel forward a few inches, reach the heart forward, half splits. Find where it is here. So you're warm. We're trying to open up that back leg, the back side of the left leg again. Come onto the sole of that left foot, hands down, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, any way you want, back to downward facing dog. From down dog, bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands, lightly hop if you're doing that. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Utkatasana chair pose. Start to shift the weight over to the right foot. Hover the left foot away from the mat. So you're still in chair pose, but you've got way more weight in one leg. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Bring it up to standing. So that outer right hip hugs in, back, right thigh presses back, chest is lifted. So two options here. You can play with extending that left leg. You can either grab onto the back of the left thigh, extend the leg forward, or you could play with hooking the toe with the peace fingers and the thumb. Right arm can reach up. See if you can press that leg straight forward, standing as tall as you can. Leg can stay straight. You can open it out to the left. Right arm can go out to the right. You could also just hang onto the knee and do it this way. You're still getting a hip opening either way. See which one's working. Chest stays lifted. Bring everything back, forward. Left arm reaches up. Left leg stretches forward, and then step the feet side by side. Bend the knees. Sit back, chair pose. Chest is lifted. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step that left foot back behind you. Spin the left heel down flat. Take it to warrior two. Flip the front palm up, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Extended side angle, forearm to thigh or hand outside the right foot, left arm reaches up and over. Hands to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot, widen the feet so you're back to hip width distance, left hand underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up for your twist. So you can stay here. I'll give you an option for another challenge if you're feeling good about it. So if you want to, you can look down at the left hand, come to side plank. So you come onto the outer edge of that left foot. Maybe you grab the big toe of this right foot with the first two fingers and the thumb and play with lifting the leg up in your side plank. It doesn't always work. You have to see if the hips are open. The hips lift as high as you can. Side plank works too, but the shoulders are open, the legs are open. If you have it, release it, you're just in side plank. Hands come back down to the mat. Any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Few breaths here. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Shift the weight over to the left foot, hover the right foot away from the mat. Hug that right knee in toward the chest, come up to standing. Left leg is strong, chest is lifted. Option to extend that right leg forward, either grabbing onto the back of the right thigh or grabbing onto the big toe, left arm reaches up, right leg goes forward. It doesn't have to be all the way straight. Open the leg out to the side. You could be hanging on to the knee. Try to keep those sit bones level. Bring everything back forward. Right leg goes forward. Reach the right arm up. Right foot next to the left foot. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Hands come down to the mat. Right foot steps back. Spin that right heel down flat. Warrior two. Flip the front palm, reach up and back, reverse warrior. Left arm forward, down outside the foot or forearm to thigh, right arm reaches up and over. Right hand comes down to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot, widen the stance, right hand down, left arm up, find the twist. So maybe this is good and you stay here and then you'll eventually step back to downward facing dog. Option B, look down at the right hand, come onto the outer edges of the feet. Maybe you step back side plank, or maybe you play with hooking this big toe with the peace fingers and the thumb. Lift the hips up, extend the leg, and then you try to lift the hips up as high as you can and open up across the chest. I'm laughing because it's hard. And then side plank wherever you are. If you're doing it, hands come down to the mat. We all go back, downward facing dog. And that's it. That's the peak of the class. Don't worry. We'll start to take it down. And once you get to downward facing dog, bring the knees down to the mat, big toes together, child's pose. Forehead comes down to the mat, arms stay out in front of you, or they could be back behind you. Hands to the mat, lift the head up, bring the feet over to one side, come to seated on your mat. Let's do bridge pose today. If you're cooked, grab a block so you can put that underneath the hips. If you're feeling pretty good, this is it. Come on down onto your back, soles of the feet to the mat. You want to walk the feet in so they're underneath the knees. Press into the feet, lift the hips up. Either press down into the arms, grab the outer edges of the mat, or interlace the fingers underneath you if the shoulders have enough room to do that. Sometimes the shoulders are tight and it's just not worth forcing the interlacing of the fingers. Lift and spread the chest. Legs are strong. It's like you're bringing the feet in toward the body. And gently release, hips come back down to the mat. Two more cycles of bridge pose. If you want to take a bigger pose like upward facing bow or Vinyasa, you're welcome to this cycle or the next or both. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, interlace the fingers, bridge pose, something bigger. And if you're doing supported bridge, you just stay there for all 3 rounds with the block underneath you. And that's what gives you that nice deep back bend at the end of this series. And gently release, hips come back down to the mat. Last one, and then we'll do some twists, the hip opening and Shavasana. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, final bridge pose. You're most set up for this back bend. You've already done 2. The body's familiar with the shape. See how much space you can get. Use the support of the back body to lift and spread the front body. One more inhale. Exhale brings you back down. Let the hips rest down on the mat. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Leave the left foot where it is. Right foot comes down to the mat. Left knee hugs in. Left foot comes down to the mat. Scoot the hips over to the right. Bring the knees to the left. Reach that right arm outside the shoulder. If the shoulder's okay with it, gaze can fall over the right arm. Recline spinal twist. Come back to center, scoot the hips over to the left, knees go over to the right, left arm reaches back behind you, gaze falls over the left arm. So bring the gaze back to center. You're looking up. Everything's pretty much on the right side of the body. Just bring that left hand all the way over so you're completely on the right side of the body. Use the left hand to bring yourself up to seated. And let's come back to that wide-legged straddle, Upavishta Konasana, the one that we did at the beginning for our hip opening. So legs wide. You could turn to face the side of the mat if you're on a hard surface. Turn to face the left leg, fold over the left leg. Keep both legs active, right knee, right toes still pointing up. Start to walk yourself back in. Turn to face the right toes. Sit up tall. Keep the knees and the toes up. Just feel the twist as you go over to the right. And now start to walk yourself forward over the right leg. Try not to let that left leg go with you. Bring yourself back up to seated, facing forward, sitting up tall. Legs are pressing down into the mat. Chest is lifted. Keep this length in the spine as you start to walk the hands forward. Keep that pressure in the legs, knees and toes pointing up. Find your forward fold in the wide-legged straddle. Use blocks if you want to underneath the head or the hands, forearms. Wherever they feel right. Start to bring yourself back up to seated. Grab onto the backs of the thighs. Bring the soles of the feet together, the knees wide. Coming into Baddha Konasana. So sitting up tall, grabbing the inner edges of the feet, opening up the feet so that you can bring the pinky toe sides of the feet together. Fold forward, elbows can go wide. Try to keep the chest reaching forward so the spine stays long, but you can let the head of the neck go. And bring yourself back up to seated. Use the hands to bring the knees back together. You'll extend the legs out in front of you. I'm just going to turn to face forward to stay on my mat. Legs out in front of you. We're coming into a seated forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Paschimottanasana. Let the head and the neck go. Start to come back up to seated. Reach the arms forward, toes pointing up. You're still pressing down into the legs. Chest is lifted, palms up. Hug the belly in. Start to round the spine. You'll feel the legs slide back a little bit. You're slowly rounding the spine. It's like someone's pulling your arms forward. Core's hugging in to protect the lower back. And then slowly start to set more of the back down. Then eventually the shoulders, then the head, then the arms. Maybe widen the legs, lift the chest up, get the shoulder blades underneath you. Shavasana. Make sure you're not touching anything. So if there's any props or anything around you that you're not using, the body's not touching it. So get those out of the way. Take one more inhale in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth, Shavasana. Let the body go back to breathing on its own. Even though you're lying down, if you're still holding yourself anywhere, see if you can let that go. And then anything else you're holding on to in the body, let that drain out through the soles of the feet. Feel the face start to relax, more space between the brows. Start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Stretch the arms overhead, waking up again, getting long. Walk the feet in, bend the knees, roll over to your right side, cradle the head on the arm, keep the eyes closed. Use the left hand, press yourself up to a comfortable seat on your mat. Sitting up tall, observing how you feel. Bring the hands together in front of you. Keep the lift of the chest as you slightly bow the head. Honor and acknowledge your heart and your spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks so much. Hope you had a great practice. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next week.